And welcome to One More Thing podcast. This morning, I'm joined with Dr. Larry Baucom.
Good morning.
Well, you and I were up together for week 2 of this series, Transitions.
Right.
And again, we're taking a look at the life of Moses sort of right after that Exodus event. And this week was all about something none of us really do a whole lot of, right? Complaining, murmuring, bickering.
Yeah, whining.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you brought out some, in the teaching, some because we were up together, and when I got the notes, I was like, this is really good. Like, this is speaking to me because, you know, I bicker quite a bit. And when you think about it, you don't really have much to bicker about. But
Right.
you situated it at the beginning with these expectations. Like, why is, you know, Shakespeare said expectation is the root of all heartache. Mm-hmm. But when we put it in sort of a spiritual or sort of theological framework, these guys just get freed from 400 years of slavery, and they're complaining about it. What is the lesson in that expectation of God and God not meeting that expectation the way I want that is so problematic?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and the answer is, I think that if God is disappointing us, we probably need to reevaluate who God is in our mind. Mm-hmm. Because here's a guy who, you know, God delivered them, and He brought the deliverer, but things are not always convenient. Sometimes it's the long way around. Sometimes it's, hey, we get there and the water's bitter. We want water, but it's not what we want. Hey, can't we get Propel, or can't we get some kind of LaCroix?
Yeah.
How about a mixed drink? You know, I don't want just water. What about ice?
Yeah.
Why is there no ice?
Can we get donut holes?
That's right. We need ice water and donut holes. But when you step back a little bit, and I think that's it's pretty much like all of us. We still are that way. Mm. You know, things don't go exactly my way. You know, my whatever is not working, or my car, I have to have the oil change. It's inconvenient. Or, you know, I can't get in the restaurant because there's so many people here and I didn't get a reservation. But we really have a lot of first world problems here.
Yeah.
But they just celebrated their exodus, and they got run out of there. I mean, they had to flee for their lives finally, and they make it over to the other side. And you'd think things are good, but we're thirsty. Mm-hmm. Can you give us something? Well, the water, this is sulfur water. It's, well, you know, but you can drink it.
Yeah.
It's like salt water you can't drink.
That's right.
But if you're on a boat and you're dying of thirst, you might be happy to have water that wasn't exactly the cleanest taste. But you throw a piece of wood in there, and the water becomes sweet. So here's what I like to think. A lot of the things that we need that will fix our whining is at our own fingertips. Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah.
If you look, maybe when we whine, we ought to look around and say, hey, this is not exactly right, but let me look around, gain perspective. Just left Egypt, been there 400 years, been praying to get out, finally got out. The Egyptian army didn't kill us. We're on the right road, but, you know, we're a little bit thirsty. I think God is there for us and with us until we're thirsty. And then where the heck is God?
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's not God, Moses. It's your fault.
Yep.
Dr. Troy, it's your fault.
Yep.
It's your problem. But our kids are, if you go back and look at kids,
yeah,
they act almost the same way.
That's right.
I mean, we're going to Universal Studios. Yeah, we go to Universal. Great. You know, it's hundreds of dollars for the whole thing. But, you know, how are we ever going to get there? We wait in line so long. What's the deal? You know, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. Mm-hmm. I've seen, just went to Universal recently and saw a little Asian kid. He was probably 2 years old in a stroller. And I mean, just not happy. And he's crying, and the dad is trying to give him this churro and trying to give him something to eat and take care of him. But the kid is looking at him, and I don't think he could talk, but he was communicating with his dad.
Yeah.
I am not happy. And whatever you're doing is not fixing me.
That's right.
So the grandmother's there. She tried to take care of him. She couldn't take care of him either. But I just sat there and looked at it and go, this is human nature 101.
Right.
It's right here in a kid. And did I feel sorry for him? Screaming pretty loud. But I could have said, oh, that kid's annoying. Instead, I went, wonder what really is going on in his mind that he can't communicate. Why is he, if he could say, hey, Dad, I'm tired of this stupid stroller. Get me out. I'm tired of being on the road to freedom. I'm tired of getting out of the Exodus. I'm tired,
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes with fatigue.
Yeah.
So, but human nature is human nature. And, but when you understand it, maybe you give everybody a pass when they whine a little bit.
Is there something to maybe being clearer in our communication about our expectation? Like if we're upfront about it, saying, hey, here's what I expect, as opposed to being too passive about it.
Yeah.
Like for example, like when I'm up to teach and we have this sermon series, I know what the expectation is of me.
Right.
It's to develop a sermon. First, that there's a time period, a time limit that I have, and I know I have to work within that boundary. And then there are things that I need to communicate.
Right.
But you're clear on those expectations. Here's what I expect.
Right.
And so I get to operate inside that boundary. And the boundary is not a straitjacket for me. It's not a limitation for me. It's here's the house, I get to decorate it. Why is the frustration when people feel like when expectations are placed upon them, they feel like it's squandering their ability, or it's putting limitations on people. I feel like we live in a culture where when a company or a boss or life itself says, hey, here's your limitations.
Yeah.
Excel within these boundaries, that's where frustration comes in.
Yeah. And I think we don't like the boundaries. We don't like being put in a category. I think, but sometimes, it's probably not best to go out and party all night and expect to come to work the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the expectations, in work and environment that we have, but when we go up against God, to where we really don't, he doesn't really clearly define those expectations to us.
Yeah.
He gives us general principles.
Right.
Or maybe we get to be the voice of God.
Yeah.
To our community. But we have to be very careful to make sure that what we're saying is not like, specific, do this, don't do this, whatever.
Prescriptive
Yeah.
stuff.
And there's some people that I've had more than one phone call where someone said, look, my significant other's going to be there today. Would you straighten them out? I go, that's not the way it works.
That's right.
Or when you see them, catch them and tell them blah, 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 blah. But this is confidential. So I go, no, that doesn't work that way either.
That's right.
But sometimes, if they come in and we love them, and people come in who are hurting and broken, and they feel like there's a little bit of healing here, and not judgment, but encouragement, and also a little humor goes a long way, because some of us need to laugh a little bit more.
That's right.
I mean, we're sad, and life is tough, and we come here and say, okay, it's nice to have a little joy and a little jovial experience, and also to see guys up front like us who are human beings. We're not perfect. We screw up. Like I jokingly say, I'm addicted to stupid.
Yep.
Every few months I can do without it, but I got to have it. But I think it just helps our humanity, and people grow with that.
That's right.
They say, hey, look, if God's still working on him, maybe he's still working on me too.
That's good. So the last question I have, and because we were so, pushed for time yesterday, there was one of the points you made, and I said I'm going to ask him in one more thing. It doesn't need clarification. Right. I just think it needs more explication. You said God doesn't make deals. God doesn't make deals, but 95% of the people who claim to be followers of Christ operate in that sort of
transaction.
Yeah, that transaction.
Yeah.
If then.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that when God doesn't make deals or take deals?
Well, I think the journey is not about it is, hey, if you do this, I'll do that. But I think it's more general than specific. If you open your heart, I think you'll find life. If you keep your eyes open, I think you'll see things you've never seen. But it's not like, let's do the transaction deal. If you come forward and give your heart to Jesus in this moment, then you're going to have a beautiful, everlasting life, or, all your problems are going to be solved. And now I go back in my mind and realize there's a lot of guilt that you carry, and it's a way to release guilt.
Yeah.
But are there other ways to have guilt released? Yeah. The first thing is quit laying it on.
Yeah.
And I think that, I love that Monte Cristo. Hey, I'm a priest, not a saint.
That's right. Yeah.
And we're pastors. We're not saints.
That's right.
And people we'll give them a pass. We'll give them grace. We'll love them as they are. And I think that's a better way to live and a better understanding of what life is all about.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I took that to heart. That I remember the times in my life where I tried to strike a deal, some sort of transactional, and it's not necessary. It's like you said, learn to love yourself, forgive others, and the best thing I found is when I do something for someone is not to require anything in return.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I talked about in staff today. I've helped a couple of people this week move some things, and it's funny how quick they were to, well, what can I do? Nothing.
No strings attached.
No strings.
I love that expression.
No, nothing. Like, there's nothing. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to move these water bottles for you. I'm happy to move this big kiln, and I require nothing in return. Like, the hangout time with you was worth it. So
yeah, that's amazing. And that's just being a good person.
Yeah.
And that's who we are.
That's awesome. So proud to be here, Dr. Baucom. Thanks for leading us, man.